Due to a lot of recent discussions within the Transformers collecting community in the Facebook groups, etc. I know it happens outside of Transformers also in other collecting communities, but it is happening quite heavily and it is discussed quite a bit in recent times due to probably rising prices in general of figures, and also the discussion of hard to get figures, or such as the primes that I've noticed, and HasLabs, which is why I've decided to add scalpers to my ongoing series of collector problems. So let's get down to discussing scalpers. What's up YouTube, I'm Alpha Prime and welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to probably discuss one of the most hated topics within the collecting community, and that is scalpers. So what actually is a scalper? I mean, how do you define someone that is scalping, I suppose? I know it's not that old tradition that happened many years ago. This is within the collecting community, and for me, the scalpers within the collecting community are people that purposely go out and buy up a lot of in-demand merchandise for whatever you collect, with the intention of making profit off of it. So obviously within this video we're actually talking about collectible figures, but it also happens across other things such as concert tickets. It happens a lot within the big major concerts. I've seen it, I've had to deal with it personally, with my kids and stuff. It is out there, it's in all the different things, but today let's just focus on the collecting side of things. So I think one of the biggest things that people want to know is, why would other collectors do this to fellow collectors? Well, in some instances they're not actually fellow collectors, they're actually just people that are out to make a quick quid, a quick sale, and make a profit, really. But unfortunately, some of them actually are fellow collectors, and they're out to potentially cover the cost of their own personal purchase of a figure. And I guess that is where this whole topic becomes a little muddy. It's not just black and white whenever it comes to actually scalping. So obviously some places, towns, cities, brick and mortar stores, they don't get a huge quantity or supply, or if any. I can speak personally for myself. Certain shops near me, they might get a lot of wave one. I've discussed it before, where they get a lot of wave one, 3 or 4 restocks of it. By the time they get to the 3rd or 4th restock, everyone in that area has got those figures, and they end up going on sale. So they maybe dabble a little bit in wave 2, but by the final waves, the stores just don't get them in. So then the likes of myself have to revert to online sales. And I guess this is where the actual problem of the scalping sort of comes into it. Now, some people will buy up maybe some of the extra figures that maybe aren't selling in their stores and place them online. They maybe see in collector groups that people are struggling to find said figure or collectible, and these people will maybe add a few pound onto the price. The recommended retail price for that figure covers travel, them collecting the figure for you, but it's usually only a few pound, maybe £5, whatever, on top of the actual figure price and the postage. Obviously, if you're going to get it shipped to you, can't expect that the person that went and got the figure to actually cover the postage for you. So a few pound here and there, it's not a big deal. I don't class that as a scalper. I actually find that as a helpful collector within the community, and I've got it myself a few times, and it is great. Some collectors will do it just for the cost price, which is fantastic within the community, but I don't expect them to do it for free. And if there's a few pound added onto the price, that is not scalping for me. So the actual people that I would class personally as a scalper is someone who purposely goes into a store, picks out a specific figure, say, for example, because he's right here, the Fallen, buys up all 4 or 5 of the Fallen figures within that store with the intention then of selling them for a much higher price, such as double in some cases. They're not usually 5, 10 to £10 dear. You know, you're chatting, say a figure is £40 at retail, they're selling it for 70, 80, 90, sometimes £100. That's when you enter the realm of scalping for me. Now, if you can't, it's when they're actually removing the opportunity from a fellow collector to pick up said figure at the recommended retail price within the stores. May it be online retailers, may it be brick and mortar stores, but they are removing that opportunity for other collectors to actually pick this figure up at a decent price and then sticking it onto eBay or into collector groups for 2, 3, 4 times the price. So that for me is what makes someone a scalper in my books. I think if you're adding a few pound to a figure that is maybe hard to get for some people, you're not scalping, you're helping out the community. If you're doubling the price and you've bought 4, 5, 6, 7 of that figure from a store, then chances are you're scalping. Now here's a big one that has been a very hot topic within the collector community in regards to scalping, is HasLabs. Now, with Omega Prime starting to hit some of the people in America, obviously here in the UK we have to wait an extra few months, but with people having bought 2 or 3 of the HasLab and are looking to sell them now for twice the price, does that make them a scalper in this situation? I don't think so. Not in my book. I think everybody had the opportunity to pick up the figure on the actual funding time frame. So anybody that wanted the figure could purchase the figure at this time. It wasn't in stores. It wasn't limited to X amount of figures. It was available to everybody. And scalpers couldn't buy up 10, 20 or whatever number of them and remove the opportunity from someone else. Everybody could have purchased the HasLab figure. Now that is where this term late tax comes in. For whatever reason, a collector didn't purchase the HasLab at the funding stage for the recommended retail price, the original price of that HasLab figure, then there is such a thing known as late tax. And that is where someone in the collecting community has bought multiple of the HasLab and fronted that cash at the start and at the funding stage. So now that the figure is being released and is actually making its way in hand, those people are going to sell it for probably at least twice the price, or at least 70-80% markup on the original price. And I see a lot of people talking in these collector groups and saying that that is scalping. It is not scalping. It is someone that has made an investment up front and is now looking a return on that investment for something that everybody had the opportunity to get. Now obviously circumstances, maybe someone couldn't afford it at the time, that's just the way things are. So now that is why the term late tax comes in, and you now have to pay that extra little bit for a figure that isn't going to see a re-release, isn't going to be released again. This thing was a one and done sort of situation with Hasbro. So now you just have to pay what the person that originally bought it is looking for. It's called supply and demand in that situation. And that is the difference between a scalper and these people selling the HasLab. Nobody lost out the opportunity at the time to purchase this figure due to someone buying 10 or 20 of them, and now they have to pay extra. Whereas a scalper will remove that opportunity from other collectors to purchase said item and then sell it for twice the price. So I do see a lot of the online stores here within the UK at least that have tried to reduce that problem, in fairness to them, and I've seen quite a few of them do it, where they know that an item is a real hot property. It could be a restock of a figure that has been scalped quite a bit over the recent year or months or whatever, and the retailers have fortunately been able to restock, maybe found stock within their warehouses or within Hasbro's warehouses and have been released into the online stores. The online stores have limited, maybe only being able to buy 1 or 2 at the very most of that figure, which stops people going in and going, right, these figures are selling for 3 times the price, so I'm going to buy 6 or 7 of them and sell them for twice the price. I know specifically one retailer in particular, I'm not going to name and stuff, but some people obviously tried to play the system and they were trying to use multiple emails, but the delivery address was all the same. So I think that they sort of caught on to that and they cancelled orders that were going, 6 or 7 of them going to the same address. So obviously there's always going to be workarounds. You know, you can't hold the online retailers responsible for all of that sort of stuff. People will always find some sort of loophole. They will always work ways around it and stuff, but at least they're trying. So what can we do as a collector community? Unfortunately, not a lot. I mean, it's frustrating. It is what it is, I guess. It's definitely frustrating within the community. But we could, as a collective community, just stop buying from these resellers that are selling it for extortionate amount of money. Couldn't we? I mean, FOMO is a massive thing within the collector community, and I will discuss it on another video within the collector problems. FOMO is a massive thing that scalpers rely on within the collecting community. So why don't we as a collecting community, why don't we just play the long game? I mean, Hasbro have been quite good over recent times now of re-releasing figures and repackaging them, refreshes within their waves. So therefore, you know, try and play the long game. Try not to get sucked into having this figure right now if you weren't able to pick it up at recommended retail price. I mean, the scalpers, they have to front the cost. They have to buy the figures initially, whether they're using their own money or credit cards and stuff, where over time that is going to increase on them and they're losing money eventually if we all avoid the scalper price. I mean, let's face it, the scalpers want to make a quick sale. They don't want their money tied up within these figures sitting around their house and stuff. They want the collector community to buy it up as quick as possible. In the case of FOMO, you know, people that might be scared that they'll never see it again and stuff. But remember, guys, within Hasbro, they have started doing repackages, re-releases, refreshes. So it's not, you know, that the figure is gone. I mean, take Cosmos. He was a hot property at the time, very difficult to get. He's now being repackaged. He's now on shelves for recommended retail price. So if we as a collector community decide that we're not going to buy into these 2-3 times the price figures, the prices will ultimately have to start dropping. And then the collector community has won. A scalper needs the quick sale. They don't need their money tied up. So if we can wait it out for that little bit longer, eventually prices will start to drop. Now, I'm not saying they'll get right back down to retail price, but probably closer to a more reasonable price than double. Now, that would only really work if the vast majority of the collector community stuck to this. And unfortunately, FOMO does win out in quite a lot of cases. So therefore, as FOMO is a powerful factor, unfortunately at the minute, that merry-go-round of scalpers continuing to go round and round. So that's all for this video. Let me know in the comment section below of your thoughts and feelings, maybe some of your experiences within this topic of scalpers. I'm really interested to hear everybody's thoughts and feelings on these topics. That's why I do these discussion topics. And I hope you found this interesting. If you did, I am going to be doing a lot more discussion topics like this within the collector community in future videos. So why not stick around, hit that sub button, and until next time, stay awesome.